We are back on the. I was waiting for him to say his intro, but we're back on the podcast. Yeah, there it is. Justin's driving in the car. So
Safely. I like to say safely. The phone is in my lap, and I have both hands are in the wheel on the wheel.
if both hands leave, if both your hands leave the wheel at any time, I will quit the podcast because that is unsafe driving conditions. And you know what? I mean, there's just too much happening where you need to be safe when you're driving.
That's true,
And
dude.
you don't want to get stopped by the man. Speaking of the man,
I'm literally driving by a cop shop right now.
well, speaking of the man is pregnant. Is breaking news is
Wait,
that
what?
Becky Lynch is going to have a
This
kid.
is what happens when I'm driving, dude. I don't know what the fuck.
She she's going to announce something on Raw, and someone's reporting that she's going to have a kid. So this is only speculation for Monday Night Raw, and we'll see what happens.
Look at
But
Rollin fucking busting nuts inside the man, dude.
um, but yeah,
That's
I
good for him. Good for him not using condoms, dude.
um I've driven through Davenport before. All right, so on Sunday they released the Undertaker: The Last Ride documentary, and the basically is going to be like a weekly thing. I think they're going to upload it every single like
Sunday,
weekend
Sunday at 10. In the
at
morning.
10 p.m. And I was gonna say
Yeah,
in the morning because
yeah.
it was in the morning.
It was in the
And
morning.
a lot of people were going nuts about it. I watched it pretty much right away just because that's when I subscribed to the network again to watch the Money in the Bank show. By the way, Money in the Bank
It
show
only it,
sucked. You can
it
go.
only it only took 24 hours for you to resubscribe to the network after making a podcast say cancel all the subscriptions.
I didn't say I cancel all my subscriptions. You put the title as we cancel all the subscriptions. All I did was cancel the Observer. Um, like I didn't say that I was
Hey,
gonna like cancel
I canceled
everything.
you. Man. You cancel the network. You cancel Observer. You reassign to the network.
And I'm sure I'll sign up to the Observer. But um, the basically, I watched that first episode, and it was really good. It was kind of weird how they are putting that documentary out while we have this Jordan one going on because, you know,
The
like it's
last ride
just
and the last dance. It
yeah,
seems kind of whatever.
kind of suspicious, but it is what it is. And basically, my standpoint was after watching that first episode, I really, really wish that Taker would have just retired after that match because everything he was saying and everything he did after that match, and even in the moment, I was like, man, that should be it. Like he should just leave his like clothes in the ring and call it a day. Um, and like it was
I
just like
I,
such a perfect moment. And then he
I like
explained it on the thing where he did that just in case, and like he wasn't sure what was next, and I was like, man, that should have been it. Like I was almost a little frustrated because I was like, well, what the heck? Like you did all this stuff and you made it really, really good, and now we know what happened after that.
It's weird that like that was the main event that ended WrestleMania 33, and like they made Taker thank you Taker shirts, plaques, like memorabilia for this, and then literally like the next year is like, is Taker going to show up to face Cena? Like it was so weird.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
like, everyone's posting Taker pictures. Like I posted my Taker picture. People were texting me, "Are you crying right now?" I'm like, "No, man, retired. Like it's not that big of a deal."
you weren't crying like that one guy at the end. That was awesome. That guy is like I saw I saw that clip and I started to get all like not tearing up, but I started to get like a little sad. And then I saw that guy and I just started
They
laughing.
played
I
that
was like,
Taker piano thing, and that is like a legit funeral song. Like I feel like if you play that in a funeral, people would be crying.
yeah, we're gonna be dancing with your casket, and then we're gonna like put you down and
So
we're
that's,
gonna play
I
that
mean, that's
song.
pretty, that's bridge. Play the piano song at my music at my funeral. Do the dancing one with Breach at his.
Okay, I
Um,
guess we're booking.
Everyone knows I'm the biggest Taker fan. Taker fan for life. Before Taker fan for life was a thing on YouTube. Um, I loved it. Like so, like I always think Taker was one of the best of all time. Like just for longevity, from like him wrestling Hogan in the '90s to like him wrestling literally. What do you actually? I can't even remember who he wrestled last. Wow. Well, Roman Reigns up to this documentary, like just a longevity and like everything in between. And like people forget, like the way the documentary made it seem like those '90 matches were good. Those early '90s matches of Taker were like Like the aura of the match, like the character was good, but the matches are like not that good at all. Like his matches don't get good till like 96, 97. Like, but like the way they edited it, it's like, oh man, like Taker is like literally they edit like the Jordan doc. Like Jordan has never missed a shot. Taker has never had a bad match in his life.
I think the one thing that I kept wanting to, like, they mentioned the 30 match, and the one thing that I kept waiting for was them to talk about that more. So I hope that they have an episode related just to him, like everything that led up to him deciding to lose that match. Because obviously it started like a couple years before with the UFC thing where Taker's at the UFC show that Brock was fighting on, and he was like, "You want to do it?" And that's like the clip that spiraled into, you
That
know,
made Ariel like blow up. Like
yeah.
Ariel was kind of a mediocre, like a mid-tier reporter at the time, and that really like popped his MMA fighting website and YouTube channel.
And like they didn't explain, everything that led up to that. And I think that that's what, I mean, that deserves a whole episode. So I hope that's what they're saving it for.
Taker, the Taker streak needs like a whole episode, and like just that the final moments of the match needs to like they talked about it briefly, but we need like a breakdown of that room. Like what happened? Like what happened when he walked in that day? Like I know in the doc they like quickly briefly said it like, oh, he thought he was done, and then after they made the call, pretty much.
Hmm.
Like that's what every time that's what they're pretty much saying. Since 21, every time it's been like, is this his last one? Is this his last one? Is this his last one? And it's just
Yeah.
like it's crazy how 30 was like the random time was like, all right, it's over. But then he shows up for another what, five?
Yeah. Like that's what I always say. Like I'm glad that I got to see Undertaker like at, like wrestle at WrestleMania, but I would much rather him just like, end off at, when the streak ends, the Undertaker ends. But obviously, then he goes for a couple more years and then they show at the end there where, he has this really great send off and then he decides to come back and like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they started to film that because he thought that it was the end. And even Jericho said it, where he was like, is this the end of The Undertaker? And it's filming like the last days leading up to it. It very well should have been. This should have been an hour long documentary thing like they do with other WrestleManias. It shouldn't have been, it shouldn't have been like a 3 year like thing. It should have been 2017 or whatever, leading up to that WrestleMania, and then the end, and then him like, at home. But now we're going to get, like
Four more
the
episodes.
John Cena thing, which will
Oh
be
man, I can't
interesting.
wait. I can't wait till like because this is like you ever watch The Wrestler, the movie?
Yeah.
This is like not like that depressing, but like that this is like a real life version of The Wrestler essentially, like where like the person can't hang it up, like
Hmm.
for his own good. Like he has one of the best careers ever in wrestling history, and you just can't hang it up. And like this documentary is gonna show like real like him like inner struggles essentially, which I'm like so excited for because like I've been waiting for Undertaker documentary for literally since 2010. Like I feel like oh they should put a Taker doc out, and like now that I'm gonna get a 5-part series about like his psychology of wrestling, the love of wrestling, his like ups and downs, like the actual person like the Undertaker, Mark Calloway.
Hmm.
Like I'm like uber excited for this. Like we all seen him come back and like that terrible match with Goldberg, that'll be a big deal. Like the Cena one, that's gonna be a big deal of him coming back and deciding like why did he have a 2-minute match with Cena? Came in, he did the match, and like literally when he pinned Cena, he's like he like lets go and like fuck this. Like why did I even come back for this? That's what it looks like on his face. Like if
Hmm.
you watch that match.
Because then what did he have after that? That was
Then
what,
he went to
34?
Saudi like literally a month later.
Oh,
And
yeah, he did.
then that's when all the oh man, that DX match. Oh man, I can't wait till they talk about how bad that match was.
Oh,
Like
good
literally,
God.
this is gonna be so real. Like it's and like Sean's gonna give his take, Triple H and Kane, like and it's crazy how like Jericho and JR is like right on the documentary, like no blurring, no editing, like they're right there. Like you see them.
Yeah.
And you finally get to see like how like truly like people talk about how respected the Undertaker is, but you get to see it like actual live interactions, which like it's nice. As a Taker fan, this is like the best thing I could watch. Like this Michael Jordan doc. is amazing, and this Taker doc is just as amazing. Like, I'm glad WWE actually copied something that was like that actually works.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to think, like, I could think of one person who went out on their own terms before it got like too late, and that's Shawn Michaels. Obviously, we don't have to talk about the newer stuff, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he went out with us wanting, more from him. You know what I mean?
Literally
Like,
5-star match.
yeah, well, yeah. Was 26 5 star?
I, I I don't know if it got 5 stars, but that's essentially a 5-star match.
Like
Like the
25.
storytelling, build, the ending it on the Super's tombstone where Taker did the big jump and like essentially like broke his knees for Sean's last final moment in the ring at the
Mhm.
time.
Like 25 was the peak of the story, the climax of the story, and 26 was, the ending of the movie. Like
Yeah.
that's literally what it was.
And honestly, at 28, when they all hugged, and they none of them ever showed up, that would have been the greatest ending of ever. Like for the three careers,
Yeah, I mean that would have been really good to like everyone to go up, but obviously, like you
or
still
like
got
if
Triple H
Taker,
going.
or sorry, one thing, if Taker and like Kane like wrestled at 21, sorry, at 29, and
Mhm.
like had like a tribute match for Paul Bearer, and they all ended their career, that would have been like perfect too.
There's been a lot of times that like, I or like that people could have ended and they just didn't.
Yeah,
Um, and I think honestly, um, no, this isn't like a necessarily a retirement, but I mean, Punk kind of went out like, you know, obviously with us wanting more. Like that's the only
so
one,
much, so
yeah,
much.
like that's the only one that I could think of that hasn't come back yet, and he'll probably come back just like Sean. Sean never came back, that never happened. So
I honestly like. I know you love HBK. Like in my head, I never like when people say that Saudi match. Like I don't even think about it. Like that's just a write off. I'm like in my head, I'm like he always said in interviews like if he ever came back, he would wrestle so his kids could see in a tag match, which he did. So like it's just a one off. Like it never really happened.
yeah, that's like, I mean, in my head, like that could be like an appearance at like a convention. You know what that was? That was just a paycheck. Like that never happened in the history books. Like, um, yeah, I'm still always going to consider 26 as his final match, and then obviously, like the farewell the next day. He did the same thing that Ric Flair should have done. Ric Flair should have ended that match against Shawn Michaels and then never wrestled again. But then the
Yeah,
idiot had to go to TNA and be a stupid idiot, and just because he needed money, and he ruined the end of his career, in my opinion. But Shawn Michaels,
everyone everyone remembers him going to TNA, and he had like a series of matches with Hogan where they did a tour in Australia, I believe.
I mean, I understand that, like, they're respected wrestlers and respected, journeymen in this business, but just like stop. Like, just stop while you're
But like
ahead.
it's like that's what I love about this documentary. It's gonna show like the inner struggles of like you're such a big star and they don't know when to hang it up. Like it's like the fans themselves are watching, like, hey, you should stop, but they're like, no, I could do one more. I could. It's like they're like addicted. They're like an addict. Like they're like a
Hmm.
gambler, right? Like you go in, you hit hot, you're losing, you're losing, losing. I should have left earlier, but no, I'm gonna try to hit that one more jackpot, and then I hit and run.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's kind of easy to like take your talents, to other forms of media for wrestlers. I think Jericho, as much as I hate his advertisements on his podcast, I think him doing his podcast um, is kind of a thing where he is able to, if he needed to retire tomorrow, he has another form of, media that he can like, use his stardom from wrestling and kind of turn into something else, like what Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins are doing. Like they got
Oh
that
man,
podcast where everybody like, likes the podcast so much where if they stopped wrestling tomorrow, like everybody would still, get their fix of them and they would have
I,
like a second plan after this.
they've like done a resurgence for like figures. I feel like. But
they've
like that's a whole other thing. We could talk
not
about that like later.
yeah, they've not only done like a resurgence for figures, but they've also done a resurgence for their careers. Because like something like that, something like, if Undertaker did a podcast, Undertaker's like a character that he really can't do a podcast because it would just be weird. And Undertaker, having a social media account and whatnot, it's just he's that character where it's just like I don't want to know the person behind him. But
Yeah.
we're getting it with this documentary, and I think the way that they're doing it is good. And I mean, I'm definitely interested, in the other ones that they're going to do. And they've got my money's worth, like they've got my money. And yeah, if you haven't checked out this, if you're,
Bro, if
I,
you haven't checked out, if you're listening to this, you haven't like
yeah,
just go watch
yeah.
anything. Like whenever you're free, I don't know what happened. Oh, I'm low on gas right now. Whenever you're free, um, whatever you're planning to watch, take your doc. That's it.
And on that note, let us know what you think about the Taker doc. And that's going to be it for today. So, Justin, hopefully you get home safe. And we'll talk to you again after a while.
Yeah.